It's down to the decider then. What a wonderful test match series we had. What a wonderful T20I series we're having. And it's going into the decider at 2-2. So it's all to play for in the fifth and final T20I. We're looking ahead to that game in Ahmedabad on ESPN Cricket for Matchday, powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G. Ian Bell with me. Gautam Gambhir is back. Gautam owes India a couple of wins on our network. He's been part of the first and third T20I. Sanjay Manjrekar has turned out to be better luck for India in this series. But maybe that will all change in this 50-20. It doesn't change at the toss, though, for India when Morgan continues to win it. So India have what we consider, Gauti, a harder job of batting first on what looks like a slightly different surface than to the last T20.
Yeah, toss has played a huge part, but then India came back really strongly in the last game, especially after losing the toss and defending that total. Yes, it was 185, which was always a very good total, but then again, defending that total against a formidable batting lineup like England, obviously, Indian bowlers have done a fabulous job in the last month.
We heard in the pitch report, Belly, that this may be a bit slower, most similar to the third T20I rather than the one that we saw in the last one. But there is a change there is no change rather that England made. There is a change that we thought they might make in terms of Moeen Ali, who now goes this entire T20I series without a game. England go unchanged. Thoughts on that?
Well, first, it's great to see Gotham back. That's a great sign for England already. Win the toss, Gotham back, which is a brilliant start to the day. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, Owen Morgan has a real idea of what he wants, doesn't he? He's not chopping and changing at all. He's very comfortable with his 11, going with the out-and-out pace. But as you said, there's probably an argument there that, Moeen Ali and maybe Sam Curran, that's the option there, whether you go in with the extra spinner in these conditions on this surface. But again, like I said, Morgan, it seems to be very comfortable and happy with this side. And it's obviously for this very different to the way they've gone about the test matches. This is like, again, playing the same 11 consistently in this competition. But I think both teams will be happy that this is very much like a one-off game, isn't it? Very much more like a World Cup sort of scenario. Make sure you deliver tonight on the day.
You did make the points before we went on. We were discussing it. We thought Moeen Ali's workload was being managed because he was going to play a bigger part in this T20I series. Does that all look a bit odd now in hindsight?
It does a little. I think we all thought that Moeen at some point would play a part, didn't we, in white ball cricket in these conditions. You'd think he'll play the 50 over, or he has to play the 50 over competition, bearing in mind we missed him in the last, in the third and fourth test match when he bowled so well in the second. So you'd like to see, hopefully he does play a part in this series. But again, Morgan obviously sees things very clear at the moment in his side, what's his best 11 for these conditions and what the World Cup has. But I still think then Moeen Ali has a huge role for England in white ball cricket. But I am surprised we haven't seen him at some point in this T20 series.
Gautam, you want to give me a quick comment on that selection from England before I move to bigger news on India's selection? But you would have liked to see more. You said that before already in this series.
See, I would have. And at the same time, I would have liked to push Ben Stokes at number 3 because I don't think David Malan, though he's the number 1 batter in the world, he's looked out of sorts in these conditions. Yes, it's different to get runs, but then the runs which he's got at a strike rate is not that, to be honest, pleasing, especially at number 3. So Ben Stokes at number 3, and I would have actually liked Sam Billings batting at number 6. I've already mentioned that because that is probably the best way England can go into this game, especially on a wicket like this where it's slow, and Ben Stokes can actually take the game away very quickly.
Okay, now drum roll. Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma will be opening in this T20 as confirmed by the Indian captain. KL Rahul has been dropped, and Virat Kohli mentioning at the toss that he wanted a better balance in his side, and he has come in with an extra bowling option in the form of T. Natarajan. Of course, was struggling through injury at the start of this T20I series. Nice to see that the left-arm seamer returns in what is now a genuine 3-man seam attack, along with more bowling options for Virat Kohli and Rohit and Kohli at the top. Gautam, first thoughts?
See, I like one thing. That is that India's gone with 6 bowlers. And Hardik Pandya batting at number 6. Probably batting at number 7 was too low for Hardik Pandya. So 6 bowlers, yes. I like this idea of Virat Kohli opening the batting alongside Rohit Sharma because it doesn't actually tinkle with a lot of batting order. Surya still remains at number 3. Rishabh Pant can bat at number 4. And then you've got Shreyas Iyer and Hardik Pandya. So this looks a much better balance side as compared to which they played in the previous game.
Okay, in which case you've been calling for it. I know you're happy about the bowling choice, but how is this a nice way to have managed KL Rahul? I know you believe that he should have had an extra run of games. You played him 4, you play him 1 more, or is this in some ways even doing him a bit of a favor if he's in such if he's in such bad form? give him a bit of a break, and then bring him back a little later when he's fresh after the IPL.
Again, see, dropping anyone will never do anyone a good thing, or do anyone a favor, because he anyways will have to play a 3 one-day games. And at the
Yeah.
same time, if someone is out of form, the only way you can bring him back is probably just giving him more opportunities. Because when you make him sit on the bench, it's just not a good feeling, because you know that you've been dropped, and that feeling of being dropped is not the best feeling. So you've played 4 games. Yes, India's gone with 6 bowlers. I completely agree with that, because India was always one bowler short. The only way they could have gone is probably dropping KL Rahul and then picking another bowler. So that's what they've done. But ideally, they should have given him another game. But then they couldn't have actually fit in with 6 bowlers had KL Rahul played this game.
What about the prospect of Rohit and Kohli opening together, Ian? This is something we haven't seen often in T20 cricket, let alone T20I cricket. But Rohit and Kohli opening together.
Yeah, well, I'm happy with that. I mean, again, I agree. I'm happy with the balance of the side. An extra bowling option, I think, is always a good thing to have. And, I think that balances. I still would like to see, in a way, I'd like to see Kishan in there as well. I thought his debut was incredible and exciting. But yeah, I mean, 2 world-class players at the top of the order, for this one-off game. I mean, it is amazing, actually, the difference in style from England not making any changes to India, just tinkering from time to time with different positions and, and different formations. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it certainly looks on paper, it's an eye-watering one to see them both walk out. I mean, England will be desperate to, again, opportunity-wise, they'll be thinking if we can knock these 2 over, the 2 best, more experienced players, that gives them an option. But again, in T20, generally, you want your best players facing as many balls as possible, and those 2 are that.
And just to add on, Ron, I know Kohli doesn't like batting at number 4, anything less than number 3, because that's where he's more suited. But I definitely would have actually probably opened with someone like Washington Sundar, and would have given him the freedom to go out there and just play freely. And Kohli still would have remained at number 4. Surya batting at number 3, because you want to try and use those kind of players as well, because Washington Sundar has been in a very good form. Probably he's also batting much lower. Yes, you can argue that thing that Virat Kohli always loves batting at the top of the order in T20 cricket. He always loves opening the batting, but I would have gone the other way. I would have gone with Washington Sundar and Rohit to open the batting.
Okay, we're still not sure what the injury status of Ishan Kishan is. Let's assume that groin niggle hasn't healed, and make life easier for us if we are to discuss this, and say that Kohli didn't have that choice of bringing Kishan back, who you think makes a strong case after the debut that he did have. If he is looking at different options and plans for the T20 World Cup, Gautam, this is the last T20I India will play before the T20 World Cup. Is this a possible long-term, or at least for the World Cup option, the prospect of Rohit and Kohli opening together when they both can play a similar brand of T20 cricket at the top?
I would like that. I would not like that, because if any opposition can get both these guys out, India is very short in experience. Yes, you will have the flair of Surya Kumar Yadav. You will have Rishabh Pant batting at number 4, Shreyas Iyer number 5, Hardik Pandya number 6. I probably against a quality bowling lineup. I think that's going to be very risky. So I would definitely want to have someone batting at number 4, or even Virat Kohli if he wants to bat at number 3, Surya batting at number 4, and someone else opening the batting with Rohit Sharma, because suddenly 2 of these guys opening the batting together. You don't ask Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers to open the batting, do you? For RCB, the 2 best players, because you want someone as an anchor at number 3 or number 4. Yes, you can do that in one of those games, but not in a World Cup for sure.
Okay, that's interesting. On the other hand, you come to think of this whole challenge that England's pace has shown in towards India, and we discussed perhaps that, to some degree, they've either been rattled, or the fact that England's quick bowling has seen the best, has got a lot of batsmen struggling. You now have your 2 best batsmen batting at the top of the order. Could this be a recipe, perhaps, if every team comes with the same attack or same plan of attack to bowl their quick bowlers to India, and you suddenly have the best 2 batsmen opening at the top? Could this work?
Well, technically it can. I mean, they're test match players, so they've got all their skills and ability to play any style of bowling, haven't they? From world-class spin to pace bowling. That's not a problem. I mean, it'd be really fascinating to see. It'll be a good battle. I think that power play up front, again, has always been quite a big one, hasn't it? England have won a couple of power plays, and India then have managed to wrestle a couple back themselves. So, yeah, I mean, they've got the tools to do it. They're world class. But I agree. I think T20, you're trying to find the balance, aren't you? Between, you don't want 2 guys going at the same pace. And I think we've seen that with the newer additions into the Indian squad with Yadav and Kishan, that they played a fearless brand of cricket, which actually it must be great for Kohli and Rohit to bat alongside, because it just takes a little bit of that pressure off of those, because their guys are going at it so hard. And then you obviously with Rashid Pant, Pandya as well. I mean, so much aggression there around those players. It's just getting the right balance, isn't it? And I don't think you want them, two guys of the same thing batting for too long together, but having the right balance is important. And the young guys coming in have looked incredibly dangerous and put a lot of pressure back on England.
And Ronak, if it comes off today, it doesn't mean that it's going to come off every time. Yes, if it comes off today, people will keep asking this question that whether they both should open the batting in T20 World Cup. I would want my main players to get those difficult runs, especially at number 3, number 4, and especially one of these two to probably take the game probably till the end. And that's the reason why I actually like that idea of Ishan Kishan and Rohit Sharma opening the batting, and then you've got Rishabh Pant at number 4, Virat Kohli at number 3. That looked a very good batting lineup, because you've got the fearlessness of Ishan Kishan and Rishabh Pant, and then you've got the experience of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. So that top 4 looked really, really good. Yes, Surya Kumar Yadav has done a very good job, but I'm saying that you can actually shuffle with one of these guys. But then 2 of these guys batting together at the top looks very, very risky, to be honest.
Okay, this is very interesting in terms of just trying to read into what Virat Kohli and India's plans or thinking could be going into that T20 World Cup, which is still a fair way away from now. There's an IPL and a lot more cricket to be played, even though it's not T20I cricket. But he is in some ways suggesting if this is a better balance of 5 bowlers and the all-rounder of the all-round option of Hardik Pandya, that there will be room for one less batsman, Gautam, in which case there seems to be some sort of new role that Shreyas Iyer has had to develop, which we saw in the last game. Hardik Pandya has to bat a position higher. Do you see someone like a Shreyas Iyer fitting into this team, being versatile enough to bat at 5/6, or is that also a case of perhaps the wrong sort of batsman for that role?
See, he has to, because Surya probably will bat at number 4 and number 5 if he can't go lower than that. And Shreyas Iyer has got that ability. If he wants to be part of the playing 11, he has to. And again, in a T20 format, you got to be used to batting at any number. And you need to have every kind of game. You got to have the game where you can actually anchor the inning. You got to have the game where you can play those big shots and play like a finisher as well. And Shreyas Iyer did that in the previous game. So to fit into this playing 11, you got to do that. And that is the reason why I said that if they could have opened with Washington Sundar, it would have just made their batting look more lengthy, with Virat Kohli at 4 or even 3 and Surya at 4, and then you got Rishabh Pant at 5, and then Hardik Pandya and Shreyas Iyer. So that just looks a much stronger. Plus, it gives people like Washington Sundar that freedom to go out there and just play aggressively, and it takes a lot of pressure off Rohit Sharma. That's the reason why I thought that, and that was one of the reasons why we actually opened with someone like Sunil Narine during the T20 IPL T20. It just makes your batting look lengthy, and it just gives the other person that freedom. And Washington Sundar is a pure batter.
I'm trying to, both of you are specialist batsmen. I'd be very interested to know if you told a specialist batsman, you have the license, go for it, whether that message actually sinks in. If you're a Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli so used to playing a certain way, as against when you tell Sunil Narine or even Ishan Kishan or someone like a Washington Sundar, they might actually accept that license. Either it's a different thought process or a different generation, and they actually will play with less fear of getting out. Whereas that may be a lot harder for a Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma, given the role that they're used to playing. So can you give the same message to a Rohit Sharma now that Virat Kohli is batting with you? You have the license to go. Gautam, you first, and then I'll take Ian as well.
I don't think so. I think he's going to play the same way. He's got to obviously, the reason why you can give those kind of players that freedom is because they do 2 jobs. Even if it doesn't come off with the bat, they've got the job to do with the ball. But if you're playing as a pure batter, it's always difficult. Why KL Rahul got dropped after 4 games was because he wasn't keeping. And had he been keeping, there wouldn't have been less scrutiny on him, on his form as well. And that's the reason why it's always a luxury when you can contribute in 2 departments. And that's where these players like Washington Sundar, Sunil Narine, all those guys can be pushed at the top of the order and can play freely, because they know that they've got probably another job to do, especially in the second innings with the ball, so they can contribute. If Rohit Sharma doesn't score runs or Virat Kohli doesn't score runs by playing in a certain way, there'll be a lot of pressure and a lot of scrutiny on those kind of players, because probably they've got nothing to contribute in that game.
It again comes down to a clash of perhaps cultures or styles in T20 cricket, where you know what Butler and Roy do at the top, and then there's no fear if they get out doing that. Rohit Sharma, even if he hits the first ball for 6 like he did in the last game, he still ends up getting out 12 of 12. He tends to play a different sort of game, and now you've got arguably 2 very similar styles of batsmen in Rohit and Kohli. Can that culture also be successful, or is that a little outdated in T20 cricket now?
Well, that's a good question. We'll see tonight. But I think there is that frame, isn't it? I think with 2 senior players like that, you've got to trust them that they'll read the game, they read the situation very quickly. If they have to get on with it, they're going to have to get on with it. But I do agree with Gautam said there. I think generally when you have a bowler that you can throw up the order who plays aggressively, they do feel that they're not thinking defence, or they're not thinking about how many runs today or my average or anything like that. They are purely thinking about just getting as many as they can, as quick as they can, which is a slight different mentality if you're a genuine out-and-out batsman. But I think with those two in particular, we know they're world-class players. You've got to trust them as a team. I wouldn't think you'd have to tell them you're going to have to get on with it and get a good power play. They know that, and you've got to trust that they will pick the right options. One of them will have to go. You can't have both of them trying to play the same way. One will have to take on a certain bowler, and that's always the handy thing about having right, left hand at the top, but also somebody is like a pinch hitter type thing who could just go out and be ultra aggressive. And if it just allows the quality player to go with them, just to give themselves a couple of bowler and get in.
Okay, and is there a downside to not having that sort of opener though, Gautam? Because these two could very well end up batting together if one wicket falls early. So there's no big deal if you think if Rohit and Kohli are batting early together. But when you set these two out to open, what's the biggest thing India miss out on?
The flair. As simple as it gets. The aggression. Because again, they've got a lot of responsibility on their shoulders, and again, they've played so much of cricket that it's difficult for them to change their style now.
Yeah.
When you've played so much international cricket for such a long time, and suddenly you tell someone to be aggressive, it gets difficult. And plus, it's difficult for anyone to give one of these guys a license to go out there and play freely, because one is the vice captain and the other one is the captain. So that is the reason why, if you want to have that aggressive approach at the top of the order, you got to give someone that license and tell him and give them that security that go out there. It really doesn't matter whether it comes off or if it doesn't come off. And that's the reason why Ishan Kishan could do what he could do, because there was no baggage. And at the same time, there was less scrutiny on him as well. Rishabh Pant could play the way Rishabh Pant is. The reason is because he's keeping. Because he knows that there's another area where he can contribute. And that's the reason why I say that when two probably most experienced batters bat at the top of the order, it's always difficult. England go with Jos Buttler and Jason Roy. They don't go with Ben Stokes and Jos Buttler at the top of the order, the two most aggressive batters, or probably the two most experienced batters. The reason is because you want your main batters to get those tough runs and try and win you games, and probably sometimes can anchor the innings as well. And the hardest time to get runs is probably after the sixth over in a T20 format. And I've opened the batting. I've got runs in T20 cricket, and I can very easily say that the easiest way to get runs is probably in the first 6 overs, and everyone wants to open the batting. But the toughest is probably when you're batting at number 4.
Okay, fair enough. If Kishan was fit, who does he come into in this team today? If we have to just speculate for a bit, if you have to have that person, then who misses out? Gautam?
That's a tough one. Who? Because Shreyas Iyer batted really well in the last game. He has to wait for his opportunity, as simple as it gets. I don't see him getting into this playing 11.
All right, fair enough. Belly, the talk has been all about Wood and Archer. Perhaps there's a question on the rest of the England bowling. They need to step up here to just complement that. Chris Jordan's gone for a few after being good in the first game. Ben Stokes went for a few. Sam Curran bowled just the one over. Is that the vulnerability now, this England bowling attack?
I think so. And I think looking at the death bowling in particular, last 3 overs, closing out the game, hitting those Yorkers or just finishing off things like India finished really strongly with the bat the other day. So that'll be a little bit of concern, I think, for England. They don't want to become just too one-dimensional and all about genuine pace. I think where India have been fantastic with those changes of pace, the slow balls, the execution actually of the slow balls under lights of the night with the dew was fantastic. But I think England, they'll be relatively happy what they've done with the ball. But I agree, Chris Jordan and the backup guys to Wood and Archer maybe just need to go up a level a little bit. And that will be an area of concern. But, that bowling attack, as I remember, we talked highly about them in the first game. It's a good bowling unit, but agreed, Wood and Archer have been outstanding, and the others just need to probably raise it a little bit.
Okay, let's take a bit of a breather from this game. You know what we're going to do now. It's our pre-show. We've been doing this every game, and Ian Bell did quite well last time round. So let's see if we can keep that up against Gautam Gambhir. It's time for our Real Me Power of 5. Okay, very simple drill again. Questions related to India and England and their T20I history. I'm going to give 5 questions to Gautam and Ian, and whoever puts their hand up first, I'll acknowledge them, give them 15 seconds, which I'll time on my brand new Realme X7 Pro 5G with 120 Hz Super AMOLED full screen display. Lovely phone this. And of course, let's see if Ian Bell can keep his winning run going. Maybe it'll be an indicator as to who wins tonight's game. Gentlemen, question 1 coming right up. Get ready. which is the only team to have an unbeaten record against England in T20Is, having played them more than once. So this is, I must say, the standard of questions is a lot tougher today. I don't know for what reason, but anyway, maybe because you guys were given too many easy ones in the past. Right. So who has an unbeaten record against England, having played them more than once? Got me.
Bangladesh.
Okay, Bangladesh is not correct, but it's interesting to think of which teams which England could have never beaten in T20. Yes, Delhi?
It's going to be an absolute rogue guess, but the Netherlands.
Yeah, that's a good guess
Oh.
because you go back to Netherlands in the opening game of the 2009
Don't
T20
remember
World
those
Cup.
days.
Yeah, Stuart Broad remembers them, and 2014 as well. So at first in London in 2009 and then in Chittagong in 2014. So England are yet to beat the Netherlands in T20Is. All right, so Belly gets a 1-0 lead. Let's go to our next question. Question 2 out of 5 is, against which team did India post their highest T20I score? Right, timer's on. Okay,
Sri
Gautam?
Lanka.
Yeah, that's a good answer. It is indeed Sri Lanka. 260 is what they managed. Rohit Sharma got 100 that day. Let's see if we can replicate that today. It was at Indore to go back in 2017. Right, let's go to our third question, shall we? 2018 rather. Let's go to our third question. The only bowler from either India or England to take a T20I hat-trick. Timer's on.
Ooh.
It's recent. He is part of the current India squad, so it's an Indian. I'm giving you more hints now as we approach 15 seconds. All right, time's up. Okay, no points for guessing. Anyone wants to have a crack? Gautam?
Bhuvi.
No, not Bhuvi. Belly? Nah,
Who's
all right.
current squad?
I'll
I'm
give
gone
it to you.
today.
I'll give it to you. It's Deepak Chahar for that 6-4 that he got. It included a hat-trick. I almost forgotten that hat-trick because it came last ball of the previous over and first 2 balls of the next. One of those things. Bowlers have so many things going their way, don't they, in the game. Deepak Chahar. So, yeah, that's the answer I was looking for. So it's still level, 1 apiece. Let's go to our next question. Which player featured in the current England squad is the only one to be dismissed obstructing the field in T20Is? This did become quite popular in the news. Gautam, did you put your finger up? Or was that like, yeah, okay, go for it. Yes, Gautam?
Absolute guess.
Yeah, go for it.
Joss Butler.
Not Joss Butler. Joss Butler's been at the receiving end of a few odd dismissals, including a Munkert, but not in T20I cricket. Belly?
I'll go
Any
Ben
guess?
Stokes.
No, not Ben Stokes either. We're looking at Jason Roy back in 2017 against South Africa. So
Right.
Jason Roy, back in his country of birth, and wasn't pleased with the fact it would happen in Taunton, as it turns out, so against his country of birth. But yeah, was given out obstructing the field in 2017. Okay, we're still level. Let's see if the decider can claim a winner. Which spinner holds the record for the best figures for England in T20Is? And your clue is he's not part of the squad currently. So a player who's not part of the England squad at the moment, and he has the best bowling figures as a spinner in T20Is. You've got to think a little out of the box here. That's my only other hit. Timer's already running.
Go on then.
Okay,
Go
got
on
them.
then.
Got them.
Joe
Belly
Root.
basically eliminating one answer. You know that, right? I know exactly what you're doing. Yeah, Gautam.
Graham Swan.
Graham Swan is incorrect. Belly?
I'm going to go, because you said outside the box, Michael Yardy.
Not Michael Yardy, though I know what you will. I saw the line of thinking, which was perhaps good. The answer is actually Joe Denley. So Joe Denley got a 4-4 against Sri Lanka in Colombo in 2018. So while he is supposed to be a top order batsman,
Get him back in.
wouldn't mind it. They don't have that off-spinning all-round option in this team. No Moeen Ali, no Joe Root. But anyway, that's pretty much a wrap. Right, final comments from both Gautam and Ian. I do see Adil Rashid, who's taken the ball. Now, Rohit Sharma did for 6 first ball. But there is something going on here with Virat Kohli and the googly. Got him off a good one last time around. And it tends to be a good ball to bowl to him. Doesn't seem to pick it as easily. Gautam, Adil Rashid versus the 2 openers should be fun.
Absolutely. And actually, it's surprising that they both have struggled against Brisbane.
Yes. Belly, thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Final
no,
comment?
you're right. Great battle up front, isn't it? Where you, again, as a batting side, you want to make the most of the power play. But look, just really excited. A final, really. So both teams have to deliver today. So just really excited to see how that pans out.
Okay, and now regarding our Realme Power of 5, even though it's ended with a very, very cordial 1-1 draw between Gautam and Ian Bell. Remember, you could just hop over to our Facebook page and participate in the Realme Power of 5. You stand a chance to win a wonderful Realme X7 5G in every match. So if you still want your quizzing to go on, just go over to the ESPN Cricket Info Facebook page. All right, thank you very much, Gautam Gambhir. In Well, let's pick this up at in 20 overs time. Let's hope that's not more than 1.5 hours in this game, and we'll see how many India have got. Rohit and Kohli. This should make for a very interesting first 6 overs or so. So keep an eye out on how this new opening pair goes for India, and we'll pick up the chat on ESPN Cricket for Match Day, powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G.